The security camera captured everything. A pregnant woman in an emerald gown, her husband's hand twisted in her hair. The drag, the fall. 23 marble stairs. She landed on the first floor landing, curled around her belly, protecting the baby she had been protecting for 7 months. Her millionaire husband straightened his cufflinks, stepped over her body, and said 5 words that would seal his fate. Clean yourself up. Guests arrive soon. He didn't notice the security guard watching from the shadows. The guard whose hands were shaking, whose jaw was clenched so tight his teeth might crack. Because that guard wasn't just any employee. He was her brother, a Navy SEAL. And he had been waiting 3 weeks for this moment. What happens next will shock you, enrage you, and ultimately give you hope. This is the story of Cassandra Thornton, a woman who lost everything, a woman everyone underestimated, a woman who discovered that the person sent to protect the Whitmore estate was actually there to destroy it. Stay with me until the end, because the moment she realizes who that security guard really is will change everything. And the revenge, it's not what you expect, it's better. Her body hit the marble landing before her scream reached her throat. The emerald silk of her gown twisted around her legs. Her hands flew to her belly. 7 months pregnant. The baby. Protect the baby. Cassie Thornton landed on her side. Not her stomach. Thank God. Not her stomach. Above her, Preston Whitmore III straightened his tuxedo jacket. He smoothed back his silver-streaked hair. A chunk of her auburn waves still clung to his Rolex. Clean yourself up, he said. His voice carried no emotion, no concern, nothing. Guests arrive in 2 hours. His Italian leather shoes clicked against the marble as he walked away. Each step echoed through the grand foyer of the Whitmore estate. 20,000 square feet of old money and older secrets. Cassie pressed her palm against the cold stone. Her scalp burned where he had grabbed her, where he had twisted, where he had pulled until she lost her footing at the top of that sweeping staircase. The chandelier above her sparkled. 15,000 Swarovski crystals. She had counted them once during a dinner party. Something to focus on while Preston charmed the guests and crushed her hand under the table. Ma'am? A voice, male, concerned. Cassie turned her head. A security guard knelt beside her. Dark hair, strong jaw, a scar above his left eyebrow. His name tag read Mike Turner. Ma'am, you should see a doctor. His hands reached towards her, gentle, too gentle for a security guard. His eyes scanned her body with trained precision. Medical training, maybe. Military. Something flickered in her mind. A memory she could not quite grasp. I'm fine. The words came automatically. She had said them so many times. I tripped. You didn't trip. His voice was quiet. Only she could hear. Cassie looked at him. Really looked. The way he held himself. The controlled stillness. The scar. She knew that scar. She had given him that scar when they were children. A baseball bat. An accident. 15 stitches. Her breath caught. No, it could not be. He was deployed, somewhere classified. He had missed her wedding because of it. Let me help you up, Mike Turner said. His fingers wrapped around her elbow. Warm. Familiar. The baby kicked. Hard, like a reminder. Focus. Survive. 7 more weeks. Cassie allowed him to lift her to her feet. Her ankle throbbed. Her hip ached. Her scalp still screamed. But she stood straight. She had learned to stand straight through worse. Thank you, she said. Of course, ma'am. He released her arm, stepped back, resumed his professional distance, but his eyes stayed on her face for 1 moment too long. Cassie turned toward the bathroom. Each step sent pain shooting through her ankle. She did not limp. Limping invited questions. Questions invited lies. Lies invited exhaustion. The bathroom door closed behind her. She pressed her back against it. Her hands trembled as she reached for the light switch. The mirror showed her the truth. Blood matted her hair near her left temple. Not much. Enough to notice. A bruise already forming on her cheek from where she hit the railing. More bruises on her upper arms. Finger-shaped. From when he grabbed her. From when he twisted her around. She turned on the faucet. Cold water. She splashed her face. Watched pink swirl down the drain. Her phone buzzed in her clutch. She had left it on the counter before going upstairs to change, before Preston found her, before he decided she was taking too long. She dried her hands, picked up the phone, one text message, unknown number. I see you, Cass. I'm here. Don't give up. Her blood turned to ice. Only one person in the world called her Cass. Only one person had called her that since their parents died 8 years ago. Marcus, her brother, her Navy SEAL brother, the one who was supposed to be halfway around the world, the one she had not spoken to in over a year because Preston monitored her calls, checked her emails, isolated her from everyone who might see the truth. Her hands shook as she typed a response. Who is this? The reply came immediately. Someone who never stopped watching over you. Cassie pressed the phone against her chest. Her heart pounded so hard the baby kicked in a response. Marcus was here, in this house, disguised as a security guard. Why? How? How long? The questions spun through her mind. But beneath them, something else rose. Something she had not felt in 3 years. Hope. A knock on the bathroom door made her jump. Cassandra? Eleanor Whitmore's voice, sharp as broken glass. Preston says you fell again. We need to discuss your clumsiness before the guests arrive. Clumsiness, the family word for what Preston did. Cassie deleted the text messages, cleared her history, hid her phone in her clutch. One moment, Eleanor. She looked in the mirror again, applied concealer to the bruise on her cheek, adjusted her hair to cover the blood, smoothed the emerald silk over her belly. Armor on, mask in place. Perfect Whitmore wife ready for display. She opened the door. Eleanor stood in the hallway, 65 years old, silver hair swept into a perfect chignon, pearls at her throat, eyes like a shark scenting blood. You look pale, Eleanor said. Her gaze swept over Cassie with practiced assessment. Try not to faint during the appetizers. The Hendersons are coming. They already think Preston married beneath him. Cassie smiled, the smile she had perfected over 3 years, the smile that hid everything. I would never embarrass the family, Eleanor. See that you don't. Eleanor turned and walked away. Her heels clicked against the hardwood, the same rhythm as her son's. Cassie placed her hand on her belly. The baby moved, a gentle roll this time. Reassurance. 7 more weeks. She had been counting down since the first time Preston hit her. The shove in the kitchen, 6 months after the wedding, she had burnt the roast, his hand across her face. He cried afterward, apologized, blamed his father, promised never again. She believed him. She was so stupid, so desperate to believe, so alone. The gala began at 7. Cassie descended the grand staircase on Preston's arm. The same staircase, the same marble, the same chandelier that had witnessed her fall. Preston looked at her and smiled, that charming smile that had won her over at a charity event 4 years ago, the smile that made everyone believe he was perfect. Smile wider, he whispered. His fingers dug into her elbow. You look like someone died. Something did, she thought. The real me. She died a long time ago. The guests arrived. The Hendersons, the Carmichaels, the Worthingtons, old money, old connections, old blindness to what happened behind closed doors. Cassie played her part. She laughed at jokes that were not funny. She accepted compliments on her pregnancy glow. She pretended not to notice when Preston's hand pressed too hard on her lower back. Across the room, Mike Turner stood at his post, watching, waiting. Their eyes met for 1 second. He gave the smallest nod. Cassie looked away. Her heart raced, her palms sweated. But for the first time in 3 years, the fear was not all she felt. She felt something else rising beneath it, something that felt almost like strength. The grandfather clock in the foyer struck midnight. The last guest had finally left. Cassie stood in the kitchen, eating saltine crackers straight from the box, her only safe space. Preston never came to the kitchen. Cooking was beneath him. Eating was functional, not pleasurable. The baby moved, hungry, always hungry these days. You did well tonight. Cassie spun around. Eleanor stood in the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Thank you, Eleanor. The Hendersons commented on your poise. Considering your background, it was impressive. Your background, code for Your dead parents left you nothing. Your teaching salary was a joke. You were nobody before my son chose you. I try to represent the family well. Eleanor stepped closer. Her perfume overwhelmed the kitchen. Chanel number 5. The same scent Cassie had grown to associate with criticism and contempt. Preston mentioned you fell before the gala. Yes, I was rushing. You seem to fall often. Cassie's stomach clenched. Pregnancy affects balance. Eleanor studied her. Something flickered in those cold eyes. Recognition? Complicity? Cassie could not tell. My husband was difficult, Eleanor said quietly. Graham had expectations. High standards. Sometimes I disappointed him. A chill ran down Cassie's spine. Was Eleanor admitting what Cassie suspected? That the abuse ran through generations? Perhaps if you were more careful, Eleanor continued, these accidents wouldn't happen. Not admitting. Excusing. I'll try to be more careful. Eleanor nodded, satisfied. She turned and left without another word. Cassie set down the crackers, her appetite gone, her hands trembling. She knew. Eleanor knew. Probably had known since the beginning. Probably saw the same patterns in her own marriage. And instead of helping, she blamed the victim. Because that was easier. Because that preserved the family image. The kitchen door opened again. Mike Turner stepped inside. He checked behind him, confirmed they were alone. We have 3 minutes before camera rotation, he said quietly. I disabled audio in this room yesterday. Cassie stared at him. Up close, without the shock of her fall, she could see it clearly now. The shape of his eyes, the set of his jaw, the way he stood with his weight on his left foot. Marcus? He did not smile. His expression stayed controlled, but something softened in his eyes. Hey, Cass. 3 years of distance collapsed, 3 years of isolation, 3 years of believing she had no one. How are you here? How long? Delia called me 6 months ago, said something was wrong, but you wouldn't talk to her. Delia, her best friend from college. The one whose calls Cassie stopped returning because Preston checked her phone, because every conversation became an interrogation afterward. She was worried. I requested leave, started surveillance, gathered evidence. Evidence? Marcus pulled out his phone, showed her a video file. The timestamp read 3 hours ago. The image showed the top of the staircase, Preston's hand in her hair, the drag, the fall. Cassie watched herself tumble down those marble stairs, watched herself curl around her belly, watched Preston walk away without checking if she was alive. I have documentation going back 3 weeks, Marcus said. Medical records that Delia accessed, police reports that never went anywhere because Graham has connections, statements from household staff who are willing to talk if you press charges. Marcus, you don't understand. He'll kill me if I try to leave. He'll kill you if you stay. The words hit like physical blows because she knew they were true, had known for months. The violence was escalating. The pregnancy had not stopped it, had made it worse. I've seen the pattern, Marcus continued. His voice cracked slightly. Escalation, isolation. Pregnancy is the most dangerous time. You know the statistics, Cass. You used to volunteer at that shelter. She did know. Before Preston cut her off from everything, she had volunteered at the Women's Crisis Center, had seen the cycles, had heard the stories, had never imagined she would become one. What's your plan? She whispered. Safe house already set up, legal team standing by, Victor Sullivan, a lawyer who left the Whitmore firm last year. He knows things, financial irregularities, tax fraud, enough to take down the whole family if we play it right. And the baby? Especially because of the baby. Marcus's jaw tightened. I won't let my niece grow up watching her father beat her mother. Niece, he said niece. Somehow he knew. The ultrasound tech let it slip, he explained. Preston wanted a boy. Made them check 3 times. They confirmed female. Cassie touched her belly. Her daughter. The daughter Preston would resent, would blame, would eventually hurt. I can't decide right now. I know, but Cass, it has to be soon. Tonight wasn't random. He's losing control, the stress from work, the investigation into his company's finances. He's unraveling, and you're his outlet. A door closed somewhere in the house. Footsteps in the hallway. Marcus stepped back. His posture shifted. Back to Mike Turner. Back to anonymous security guard. "Think about it," he said in his professional voice. "If you need medical attention, please don't hesitate to contact emergency services." He left through the service entrance. Cassie stood alone in the kitchen, her mind racing, her heart pounding. Marcus was here. He had a plan. He had evidence. For the first time in 3 years, leaving was not just a fantasy she entertained at 2 in the morning. It was real, possible, terrifying. Her phone buzzed. "Preston, come to bed, now." She read it 3 times, analyzed the punctuation, the period after now, anger or command. She climbed the stairs, the same stairs. Her body remembered the fall with every step. Her muscles tensed, her breath shortened. The master bedroom door was open. Preston sat on the edge of the bed, still in his tuxedo pants, shirt unbuttoned, a glass of whiskey in his hand. "Close the door." She did. "Lock it." She did. He did not look at her. His eyes stayed on the amber liquid in his glass. "My father called during the party. The federal investigation is expanding. They're looking at the foundation accounts now." Cassie said nothing. This was not a conversation. This was a monologue. Her job was to listen. $17 million, Preston continued. "That's what they think is missing. 17 million that funded our lifestyle, our house, your jewelry, your designer maternity clothes." Still, she said nothing. "If this goes public, everything falls apart. The company, the family name, everything my grandfather built." He finished his whiskey, set the glass down carefully. "I need you to understand something, Cassandra." He stood, walked toward her. She forced herself not to flinch. "You are part of this family now. Your fate is tied to ours. If I go down, you go down." "I understand." "Do you?" His hand reached out, touched her cheek, the bruised cheek. "Because sometimes I wonder if you truly appreciate what I've given you. The life, the status, the security. The irony of that word, security, from the man who made her fear for her life." "I appreciate everything, Preston." He smiled, that charming smile, but his eyes stayed cold. "Good. Go to sleep. I have calls to make." He left the bedroom. The door clicked shut behind him. Cassie exhaled, her whole body trembling. She had become an expert at this, at reading his moods, at knowing when the danger had passed, at surviving one more night. She changed into her nightgown, climbed into bed, pulled the covers to her chin. Her phone was still in her clutch across the room. She could not risk checking it. Preston might come back, might see, might find the text from Marcus. So she lay in the dark, counting her breaths, counting her heartbeats, counting the kicks of her daughter. 7 more weeks. But Marcus said it had to be soon. Her hand found her belly. Rose. She had decided months ago, secretly, if the baby was a girl, she would name her Rose, after her mother, the mother who had loved her unconditionally until a drunk driver took both her parents 8 years ago. Rose kicked. "I know, baby. We can't stay. I know." The tears came then, silent, practiced. She had learned to cry without making a sound, without shaking the bed, without alerting Preston. She cried for the woman she used to be, the kindergarten teacher who believed in happy endings, the girl who thought love conquered all, the bride who walked down the aisle toward what she thought was forever. That woman was dead, but maybe, just maybe, someone new could be born from the ashes. 3 days passed. Cassie moved through the house like a ghost, smiled when required, spoke when spoken to, performed the role of perfect Whitmore wife. But inside, her mind was somewhere else. She stood in the nursery, pale pink walls that Preston hated. He had wanted blue, had raged when she chose pink. But Eleanor intervened surprisingly, said pink was traditional, said a Whitmore nursery should have dignity, small victories. That was all she had. The crib was white with gold trim, antique. Eleanor's great-grandmother had slept in it. 5 generations of Whitmore babies, all boys until now. What would they do with a girl? Cassie touched the mobile above the crib. Crystal stars, matching the chandelier downstairs. Everything in this house matched. Everything coordinated. Everything was controlled. A memory surfaced. Their wedding day, 3 years ago. She had been so happy, so naive. Preston in his custom tuxedo. The flowers, the music, 200 guests at the country club. Marcus could not attend, deployed somewhere classified. He sent a video message that played at the rehearsal dinner. "Take care of my baby sister," he had said to Preston. "She's the only family I have left." Preston had smiled, charmed, promised, lies, all lies. The first warning sign came 2 weeks into the honeymoon. They were in Bali, paradise. She wanted to call Marcus and tell him about the beaches. Preston took her phone. "You don't need to talk to anyone but me now," he said. "I'm your family." It seemed romantic at the time, intense, passionate. It was isolation. He changed her emergency contact from Delia to himself, closed her individual bank account, put her on an allowance, took her name off the car title. One by one, the walls closed in, and she let them. Because she loved him. Because he apologized every time. Because she had nowhere else to go. The first hit came 6 months later. She had burnt the roast. Such a small thing, such a stupid mistake. But Preston's face had transformed. The charming mask dropped. Something dark emerged, his hand across her face. The shock, the pain, the absolute disbelief. "I'm so sorry." He was crying, actually crying. "My father used to do this. I swore I never would. It will never happen again. Please, Cassandra, please forgive me." She forgave him. Stupid, so stupid. The second time was 3 months later. She had spoken to a male colleague at a charity event. Just small talk, nothing inappropriate. But Preston saw. Preston always saw. That night in the car, his hand around her throat. Just for a moment. Just a warning. "Don't embarrass me again." After that, she stopped speaking to men at events. Stopped making eye contact. Stopped being anything other than Preston's silent accessory. The third time, the fourth, the fifth. She lost count somewhere along the way. Lost herself too. Became someone she did not recognize. Someone who flinched at sudden movements. Someone who analyzed every word before speaking. Someone who checked the windows for escape routes when they walked into a room. The pregnancy had not stopped the violence. It had made it worse. Preston wanted an heir, a boy, a Whitmore legacy. When the ultrasound revealed a girl, he had punched the wall beside her head. Left a hole in the drywall. Eleanor had it patched without comment. After that, the hits came more frequent, but never to her stomach. Preston was careful. Smart. He needed the baby. He just did not need her. Cassie sat in the nursery rocking chair, the one she had imagined holding her daughter in, reading stories, singing lullabies, being the mother her own mother had been. Could she do that here, in this house, with this man? No, the answer was clear, had been clear for months. She could not protect Rose if she could not protect herself. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Marcus had given her a new contact system. Encrypted app, untraceable. Package arrived, checked the garden shed. Third shelf, behind the fertilizer. Cassie's heart raced. She deleted the message. Waited an hour. Made sure Preston was in his office. Made sure Eleanor was at her bridge club. She walked to the garden, slowly, casually. Just a pregnant woman getting fresh air. The shed smelled like dirt and chemicals. Gardening tools hung on pegboards. Bags of mulch stacked in corners. Third shelf. Behind the fertilizer, a small black case, medical supplies, a burner phone, and a folder. She opened the folder. Hospital records. 4 entries in 2 years. All from different emergency rooms across 3 counties. Entry 1, broken wrist. Patient claims she fell while gardening. Entry 2, concussion. Patient claims she walked into a door. Entry 3, cracked rib. Patient claims she slipped in the bathtub. Entry 4, multiple contusions, scalp laceration. Patient claims she tripped on stairs. The dates, the diagnoses, the excuses. She had blocked some of these. Trauma response, maybe. Self-preservation. But seeing them listed in black and white, documented by medical professionals who saw the truth and could do nothing, broke something inside her. I've been lying to myself for 2 years. The realization crashed over her, wave after wave. She had minimized, rationalized, hoped it would get better, hoped the baby would change things. The baby changed nothing. Except now there was another life at stake. Cassie sat on an overturned bucket, the garden shed, surrounded by tools and chemicals and the evidence of her own denial. She pulled out the burner phone. One contact. M. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She typed, "I'm ready to listen." The response came in seconds. "Tonight, 2 a.m., kitchen, audio disabled, come alone." She deleted the messages, hid the phone in the bottom of her underwear drawer, the only place Preston never checked because handling women's underwear disgusted him. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Dinner with Eleanor, small talk about baby names. Preston wanted William. Eleanor wanted Edward. They argued over Whitmore family tradition while Cassie pushed food around her plate. No one asked what she wanted. Preston left for a business dinner at 8. Cassie went to bed at 9. She set a silent alarm for 1:45. The hours crawled. She stared at the ceiling, listened to the house settle, counted Rose's movements. This could be real. This could work. She could escape, or it could fail. Preston could find out, and then nothing would save her. At 1:45, she slipped out of bed, crept down the hallway, avoided the squeaky floorboard outside Eleanor's room, descended the stairs on the far left side where the steps were quieter. The kitchen was dark. She did not turn on the light. Marcus emerged from the shadows. "Tell me everything," she whispered. For the next hour, he did. Marcus spread documents across the kitchen island. In the darkness, with only moonlight through the window, Cassie could barely read them. But her brother's voice was clear, steady, military precise. Safe house is 40 miles north. Rural property, owned by a veterans organization I work with. Off the grid. No connection to the Whitmore name. How do I get there? We have 3 options. Option 1 is immediate extraction. I pull you out tonight, but that leaves evidence behind. Gives Preston time to spin the narrative. Maybe claim you abandoned the family. Option 2? Strategic departure. We gather more evidence, document the abuse, build a case so strong that the Whitmores can't buy their way out. And option 3? Marcus hesitated. You stay. Try to survive until after the birth. Get out with Rose. That's not an option. I know, but I had to mention it. Cassie looked at the documents, legal forms, financial records, photographs she did not recognize. What are Victor Sullivan's research, the lawyer who left the Whitmore firm. Marcus pointed to a spreadsheet. See these numbers? 17 million in foundation funds redirected to personal accounts. Tax evasion, wire fraud, RICO violations. They're being investigated. They are. But the investigation is slow. Graham has connections. Preston has lawyers. They're stalling. But if we go public with what we have, combined with your domestic violence case, the pressure becomes unbearable. Cassie tried to process it all. The scope, the complexity, the danger. If I do this, they'll destroy me. They'll try. But Cass, look at me. She looked up, her brother's eyes in the moonlight, the same eyes as their mother. You're already being destroyed, day by day, hit by hit. The woman I knew, the woman who used to laugh so loud the neighbors complained, the woman who wanted to save the world, one kindergartner at a time. That woman is disappearing. And if you stay here, she'll be gone completely. Tears blurred her vision. He was right. She knew he was right. What about Rose? If I leave, Preston will fight for custody. Graham's a retired judge. They have resources I can't match. That's where the financial crimes help. A father facing federal charges doesn't get custody. A family under RICO investigation doesn't get sympathy in family court. You've thought of everything. I've had 6 months to plan, and I've watched you, Cass, through cameras, through staff reports. I know what you've been living. I know how close to the edge you are. She thought of the bathroom mirror, the blood in her hair, the bruises hidden by concealer, the falls that weren't falls, The accidents that weren't accidents. What do I need to do? Marcus pulled out a small device. This records audio, waterproof, adhesive back, stick it under the kitchen table, the study desk, the bedroom nightstand. Get him on record. If he finds it, he won't. It's military grade, same tech we use for intelligence gathering. And if he does, Marcus's jaw tightened. Then we move to immediate extraction, no matter what. Cassie took the device. So small, so dangerous. How do I contact you? The burner phone. Check it twice daily. Morning when you shower, night when Preston's in his office. If you need immediate help, text 911. I'll be there in 3 minutes. 3 minutes? I've been sleeping in my car on the service road. Close enough to respond, far enough to avoid suspicion. Her heart cracked. Her brother, sleeping in a car for weeks, just to be near her, just to keep her safe. Marcus, I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me. Get out alive. That's all the thanks I need. A noise upstairs. Both of them froze. Footsteps. Eleanor using the bathroom. The toilet flushed. The footsteps retreated. Marcus exhaled. We're running out of time. Do you understand the plan? Gather evidence. Document everything. Wait for your signal. And if things escalate before then, text 911. Good. He took her hands, squeezed. I love you, Cass. I'm sorry I wasn't here sooner. I'm sorry I didn't see it. How could you? I didn't even let myself see it. He released her hands, stepped back toward the service entrance. One more thing. Delia's coming to visit tomorrow. Preston approved it because Eleanor mentioned something about baby shower planning. Delia's in on this? She's the one who called me. She's been worried sick, playing along to stay close to you. Cassie thought of all the lunches she had canceled, all the calls she had avoided. She had pushed Delia away to protect her. But Delia had been fighting to reach her anyway. I don't deserve friends like you two. You deserve better than all of this. Marcus opened the service door. Tomorrow, Delia will fill you in on the rest. Stay strong. He disappeared into the darkness. Cassie stood alone in the kitchen. The recording device in her palm, the weight of the decision pressing down. She could do this. She had to do this. For Rose, for herself, for the woman she used to be. She crept back upstairs, returned to bed, lay awake until dawn, planning. The next morning, Delia arrived at 10. Blonde hair, bright smile, nursing scrubs under her jacket because she'd come straight from her shift. Cass, she embraced her carefully, mindful of the belly. You look amazing. Pregnancy really suits you. The words were for Eleanor, who watched from the doorway. The hug was real. Delia's arms shook slightly. Relief, fear, love. Let's go look at nursery fabrics, Cassie said. I need a second opinion. In the nursery, door closed, Delia dropped the act. God, Cassie, I've been so scared for you. I know, I'm sorry I pushed you away. I understood. I always understood. That's why I called Marcus. Thank you. Thank you for not giving up on me. Delia wiped her eyes. Never. You're my person, Cass. You've been my person since freshman year orientation when you gave me half your sandwich because I forgot my meal card. A laugh escaped Cassie, unexpected, genuine. She had not laughed in so long. So, Delia said, all business now. Marcus says you're in. Tell me what you need. They talked for 2 hours, covered the plan in detail. Delia would be Cassie's outside contact if something happened to Marcus. She had medical supplies stockpiled at her apartment. She had connections at the hospital who would document injuries without alerting Preston's network. One more thing. Delia pulled out a small card. Memorize this number. It's a domestic violence hotline, specialized in high-profile cases, funded by women who've survived powerful abusers. They have resources, safe houses, legal teams. If everything falls apart, call them. Cassie memorized the number, repeated it until it was burned into her brain. When are you going to move? Delia asked. Marcus wants more evidence. Maybe a week, maybe 2. Can you survive that long? Cassie touched her belly. Rose kicked in response. I have to. Eleanor knocked on the door. Cassandra, Preston's home early. He wants to see you. Delia squeezed her hand. Call me, anytime. I don't care if it's 3 in the morning. They emerged from the nursery, smiling, chatting about fabric swatches and baby shower themes. Preston stood at the bottom of the stairs. His eyes tracked them as they descended. Delia, nice to see you. You too, Preston. Thanks for letting me steal your wife for the afternoon. Of course, family is important. His hand found Cassie's back, pressed, a warning. Walk Delia out, darling, then meet me in my study. Cassie's blood ran cold. The study, where discussions happened, where punishments were decided. She walked Delia to the door, hugged her goodbye. Be careful, Delia whispered. I will. The door closed. Cassie stood in the foyer, gathering her strength, preparing her mask. Then she walked to the study. Whatever waited, she would survive it. She had to. The plan was in motion. Help was coming. She just had to hold on. Preston sat behind his mahogany desk. The study walls were lined with law books he had never read. Diplomas from schools his father's money had bought. Photos of him shaking hands with politicians. Close the door. Cassie did. Sit. She sat. He stared at her for a long moment. The silence stretched. A technique he used in business negotiations. Make the other person uncomfortable. Make them speak first. Make them reveal weakness. She had learned not to speak first. Your friend Delia, he finally said. How often do you communicate with her? Just for baby shower planning, you saw the messages. I saw the messages you showed me. How many messages didn't you show me? Her heart pounded, but her face stayed calm. There are no other messages, Preston. He opened his desk drawer, pulled out her phone, then explained why there were 3 calls to an unknown number last month, each lasting approximately 30 seconds. The burner phone number. Marcus's encrypted contact. She had been careful, but not careful enough. Telemarketer scams, she said. You know how they spoof numbers. I answered because I thought it might be the doctor's office. Preston studied her, searching for the lie. The baby is healthy? Wait, he asked. Yes, the last ultrasound showed normal development. And the gender? Still female? The way he said female, like a disappointment, like a defect. Yes, still a girl. He stood, walked around the desk, stood behind her chair. She forced herself not to tense, not to flinch, not to show fear. His hands landed on her shoulders, heavy, possessive. I've been thinking, he said, perhaps a girl isn't so bad. Girls are easier to control, to mold. She'll be a Whitmore through and through. His fingers dug into her muscles. Pain radiated down her arms, unlike her mother, who seems to have divided loyalties. I have no divided loyalties, Preston. Then why are you lying to me about those phone calls? Think fast. I'm not lying, but if you don't believe me, check the phone records. Call the numbers yourself. You'll see their spam. A gamble. Marcus had said the number couldn't be traced. She had to trust that. Preston's hands released her shoulders. He walked back around the desk, sat down. I'll do that. Fine. And Cassandra? She met his eyes. If I find out you're deceiving me, there will be consequences for you, for the baby, for anyone helping you. The threat hung in the air, crystal clear. I understand. Good, you're dismissed. She left the study, walked calmly to the bathroom, locked the door, and collapsed against the wall. Too close, that was too close. She needed to be more careful, needed to assume everything was watched. Everything was monitored. She stuttered. Over the next week, she became a ghost. She planted the recording devices where Marcus had instructed, under the kitchen table, under Preston's desk while he was at work, under her own nightstand. She captured everything. Preston berating her for wearing the wrong color dress. Preston mocking her teaching career. Preston threatening to take the baby if she ever left. No one would believe you, he said one night, drunk on whiskey. A kindergarten teacher from nowhere. Against a Whitmore. My father's a judge. The police are in our pocket. You'd lose everything. I know, she replied, playing along, recording every word. Eleanor's voice appeared on the recordings too, complicit, cruel. Preston's under stress. You need to manage him better. Perhaps if you lost some weight, he'd be more attracted to you. Whitmore wives don't complain. They endure. Each recording was another brick in the wall, another piece of evidence he misses, another step toward freedom, but the stress was taking its toll. At her weekly checkup, Dr. Henderson frowned at her blood pressure. It's elevated. Have you been under unusual strain? Just normal pregnancy stress. The doctor made a note. I'm prescribing bed rest for the next week. Light activity only, no stress. No stress. In the Whitmore house. The irony burned. Preston used the bed rest as another form of control. She was confined to the master bedroom. Meals brought by the housekeeper. Visitors banned because they would tire her. She could not see Marcus, could not contact Delia, could only lie in bed and watch her prison walls close in. On day 3 of bed rest, Preston came home in a rage. She heard him before she saw him. Doors slamming, his voice shouting at someone on the phone. This is unacceptable. I want those records sealed. I don't care what it costs. His footsteps on the stairs. Heavy, fast, angry. The bedroom door flew open. Did you know, he demanded. Know what? About the federal investigation expanding. Did someone tip you off? Preston, I've been in bed for 3 days. I don't know anything. He crossed the room, grabbed her arm, yanked her up. Don't lie to me. Someone leaked information. Someone inside the house. It wasn't me. I don't even know what information you're talking about. His hand closed around her throat. Not squeezing, not yet, just holding, reminding her what he could do. The FBI served a subpoena today. They want all our financial records. Someone pointed them in our direction. His face was inches from hers. She could smell the whiskey on his breath, could see the vein pulsing in his temple. If I find out you had anything to do with this, I'll make sure you never see that baby. I'll tell everyone you're mentally unstable. I'll have you committed. Do you understand? I understand. His hand released. She fell back onto the bed. Rest. I need you looking healthy for the charity luncheon next week. He left. The door slammed behind him. Cassie lay on the bed, shaking, her throat aching, her arm throbbing where he had grabbed her. She reached for her secret phone, hidden in the pillowcase. Text to Marcus. He's escalating, getting paranoid about the investigation. Marcus replied, I know. We're speeding up the timeline. 2 days. Be ready. 2 days. She could survive 2 days. But then another text came. Preston just fired the security team, all of them. I'm out. The world tilted. Marcus was gone. Her safety net had disappeared. She typed, what now? His response. Same plan, different extraction point. I'll be watching from outside the property. Stay close to exits. Keep the phone charged. Another text. I won't let anything happen to you, Cass, I promise. She deleted the messages, hid the phone, and lay in the darkness, counting the hours. 48 hours. 2 days. She could do this. She had to. Preston did not sleep in their bed that night, or the next. He stayed in his study, making calls, destroying documents, preparing for battle. Cassie heard him through the walls, shouting at lawyers, threatening employees, begging his father for help. The Whitmore empire was crumbling, and Preston was looking for someone to blame. On the second day, he found her in the nursery. You've been awfully quiet, he said from the doorway. Doctor's orders, rest and relaxation. He stepped into the room, closed the door behind him. I've been thinking about our conversation. About loyalty. Cassie's hand tightened on the rocking chair arm. I've decided you need to demonstrate your loyalty. Publicly. How? The charity luncheon is tomorrow. You'll attend. You'll smile. You'll tell everyone how wonderful our marriage is. How excited we are about the baby. How the federal investigation is a misunderstanding. I can do that. And afterward, you'll give an interview to Sarah Chen from the Society pages. She's writing a profile on Whitmore family values. You'll participate enthusiastically. Every instinct screamed danger, a public performance, a recorded interview, more lies to trap her. Of course, Preston. Whatever you need, Stadium. He smiled, that cold smile that never reached his eyes. I knew you'd understand. After all, you have nowhere else to go. No family except that brother who's never around. No friends who believe you over me. No money that I didn't give you. Each word was a knife, precise, calculated, designed to wound. You're mine, Cassandra. You've been mine since the day I married you. Nothing will ever change that. He left. The door clicked shut behind him. Cassie sat in the rocking chair, her whole body trembling. He was right, she had no one. Marcus was locked out. Delia was being watched. The police were bought. The courts were stacked. What chance did she have against all of that? The baby kicked. Hard. A protest. I know, Cassie whispered to her belly. I know. We have to try. She pulled out the burner phone. One text to Marcus. He wants me at a charity luncheon tomorrow. Public appearance. Interview after. Marcus replied immediately. Perfect opportunity. Public place. Witnesses. I'll have extraction ready outside. When you're ready to go, tell me. I'll create a distraction. You walk out. Walk out. Just walk away from 3 years of marriage. From the Whitmore name. From everything. Could she really do it? Another kick from Rose. Yes, she could. She typed, I'm ready. Tomorrow. Marcus, I'll be there. Stay strong, little sister. Little sister. He had called her that since she was born, even when she outgrew him by 2 inches in high school, even when she thought she had outgrown needing him. She had never outgrown needing him. She just forgot that needing people was not weakness. That night, Preston came to bed, drunk again. His hands wandered over her body in the darkness. Not desire, possession, claiming. She lay still, let him touch her, did not react. You're so cold these days, he murmured. So distant. Maybe after the baby comes, we'll find that spark again. She said nothing. Or maybe I'll find it elsewhere. The way you've let yourself go during this pregnancy, no man could be expected to stay faithful. Still nothing. Nothing to say? No fight left in you? Let him think she was broken. Let him believe he had won. Tomorrow, she would prove him wrong. He rolled over, fell asleep within minutes. Cassie lay awake, planning, preparing, rehearsing. When she finally slept, she dreamed of her parents, of her mother's voice saying, you are stronger than you know, of her father's arms wrapping around her, keeping her safe. She woke with tears on her pillow. But underneath the grief, something else stirred. Determination. Tomorrow would change everything. She just had to survive one more night. The charity luncheon was held at the Whitmore Country Club. White linen tablecloths, crystal stemware, 200 women in designer dresses pretending their lives were perfect. Cassie wore pale blue. Pearls that had belonged to Preston's grandmother. Makeup thick enough to hide the shadows under her eyes. Eleanor had approved the outfit. Acceptable, she said. Try not to waddle when you walk. Preston held her arm as they entered, smiling for the crowd, the perfect couple, the expectant parents. Remember, he whispered, devoted, happy, grateful. Of course, the luncheon passed in a blur of small talk and forced laughter. Women asked about the baby, about the nursery, about names. We're still deciding, Cassie said, over and over. Such a big decision. Sarah Chen appeared at 1:30, notebook ready, recorder visible. Mrs. Whitmore, thank you for agreeing to this interview. My pleasure, Sarah. They settled in a quiet corner. Preston watched from across the room, never letting Cassie out of his sight. So tell me, Sarah began, how would you describe your marriage? Blessed, Preston is an incredible husband, so supportive, especially during the pregnancy. The lies tasted like ash. And the baby? Are you hoping for a boy or a girl? We'll be happy with a healthy baby. That's all any parent wants. More lies, more performance. There have been some reports about a federal investigation into Whitmore Foundation finances. Can you comment on that? Cassie's heart stuttered. This was not in the script. I'm not involved in the business side of things. Preston handles all of that, but I'm sure any misunderstanding will be cleared up quickly. Sarah's eyes sharpened. Some sources suggest the investigation involves significant financial irregularities. Are you concerned about what it might mean for your family's future? Across the room, Preston's smile had frozen. I trust my husband completely, Cassie said. Our family will be fine. Sarah made a note. One more question. Some staff members have reported concerns about your well-being. about possible domestic issues. Would you like to address those rumors? The world stopped. Someone had talked. One of the staff, one of the people who'd seen the bruises, the falls, the fear. This was it. This was the moment. Cassie could deny everything, play the perfect wife, protect the Whitmore image one more time, or she could tell the truth. Preston was moving toward them, his face a mask of controlled fury. 3 seconds to decide. She thought of Rose, of Marcus waiting outside, of the woman she used to be. Mrs. Whitmore, Sarah prompted. I need to use the restroom, Cassie said. She stood, her legs shook. Preston arrived at her side. Darling, is everything all right? Just the baby pressing on my bladder, excuse me. She walked toward the restroom. Steady steps, normal pace, don't run, don't draw attention. But she did not go to the restroom. She walked past it, down the hallway, toward the service exit. Her phone was in her hand, text to Marcus. Now, I'm coming out the service exit. Response, 30 seconds. She pushed through the service door. Bright sunlight, a loading dock, delivery trucks, and Marcus, standing by a black sedan, door already open. Cass, come on! She ran as fast as her pregnant body could move, every step an act of defiance, every breath a declaration of freedom. She reached the car. Marcus helped her inside, slammed the door, behind them, shouting. Preston's voice. Cassandra, get back here! Marcus threw the car into gear. They pulled away just as Preston burst through the service door. Cassie watched him shrink in the rearview mirror, his face twisted with rage, his fists clenched. You're okay, Marcus said. You're safe. We're gone. She believed him. For the first time in 3 years, she believed she might actually be okay. But then the tears came. Not relief, not joy, just overwhelming, crushing release. Everything she had held inside, every fear, every humiliation, every moment of terror. It poured out of her in sobs that shook her whole body. Marcus drove with one hand, held her hand with the other. Let it out, Cass. Let it all out. So she did. Miles passed, towns blurred by, and still she cried, for the woman she had been, for the woman she had become, for the woman she might someday be. Eventually the tears slowed. Her breathing steadied. Where are we going? She asked. Safe house, about 20 more miles. Preston will look for me. Let him look. He won't find you. His father has connections, police, judges, everyone. His father is about to have bigger problems. The FBI executed a search warrant at Whitmore headquarters an hour ago. The family is going down. Cassie processed this. The timing, the interview questions, the investigation. Did you leak information to the FBI? Marcus glanced at her. Victor Sullivan did, the lawyer who left the firm. He's been cooperating for 6 months, building a case. Your escape today was timed to coincide with the search warrant. So Preston can't come after me because he'll be too busy defending himself. Exactly, Primus. It was brilliant, military precision, coordinated attack on multiple fronts. Marcus, how did you plan all this? I had help, Delia, Victor, some friends from my unit, people who understand what abuse looks like and refuse to ignore it. She squeezed his hand. Thank you. I don't know how to ever repay you. Be happy. Raise that baby. Live the life you deserve. That's all the payment I need. The safe house appeared ahead. A farmhouse, white clapboard, red barn, fields stretching in every direction. Normal, peaceful, everything the Whitmore estate was not. Marcus parked, helped her out. The front door opened. Delia stood there, arms outstretched. You made it. Oh my God, you actually made it. Cassie fell into her best friend's embrace. The second real hug she had received in 3 years. I made it, she whispered. I'm free. Inside the farmhouse, more surprises awaited. Victor Sullivan with his legal files, Nurse Jolene Crawford with medical supplies, a detective named Roy Brennan who had driven from 2 counties away to take her statement. Mrs. Whitmore, Brennan said, or should I say Miss Thornton? Thornton, Cassie replied. I'm taking my name back. He nodded, respectful, professional. I'm going to need your full statement, everything that happened, every incident, every threat. Can you do that? She looked around the room at the people who had risked everything to help her. Yes, I can do that. For the next 4 hours, she talked, told them everything, the falls that weren't falls, the broken bones, the threats, the isolation. Each word was a weight lifted. Each confession was a chain broken. When she finally finished, Brennan closed his notebook. This is more than enough for charges. Domestic battery, assault, false imprisonment. With the financial crimes the FBI is pursuing, Preston Whitmore will be looking at serious prison time. What happens now? Now you rest, we handle the legal side, and when you're ready, we go public. Go public? Her story, her shame, her survival. I'm ready, Brennan smiled. I believe you are. That night, Cassie slept in a guest bedroom with a quilt made by someone's grandmother. The window had no bars. The door had no lock. Rose kicked steadily, a rhythm, a heartbeat. We made it, baby. We're safe. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in 3 years, she slept without fear. 6 weeks passed. Rose came early, 4 weeks early, as if she understood that waiting was no longer necessary. Labor lasted 12 hours. Delia held one hand. Marcus held the other, both of them crying long before the baby arrived. At 3:17 in the morning, Rose Margaret Thornton entered the world. 7 pounds, 4 ounces, 10 fingers, 10 toes, her mother's auburn hair. She's perfect, the nurse said. Cassie looked at her daughter, this tiny person she had protected through everything, this life that had given her the courage to escape. Yes, she whispered. She is. The birth certificate read, Rose Margaret Thornton. No Whitmore. Never Whitmore. Preston tried to contest it from jail. He was being held without bail after prosecutors demonstrated he was a flight risk with assets hidden overseas. His lawyer sent threatening letters. His mother sent more. Eleanor vowed to fight for grandparent visitation rights, to expose Cassie as an unfit mother, to destroy her reputation. The threats no longer landed. Cassie read them, filed them, and handed them to Victor Sullivan for documentation. Every letter is evidence of harassment, Victor said. They're building our case for us. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for 8 weeks after Rose's birth. Cassie attended. Rose stayed with Delia. The courtroom was filled with reporters. The Whitmore scandal had gone national. Financial crimes, political corruption, domestic abuse. Every sordid detail splashed across headlines. Preston sat at the defense table. Orange jumpsuit, handcuffs. His expensive lawyers flanking him. He looked at Cassie when she entered. His eyes still held that cold rage, that possessive fury. But something else was there now, something she had never seen before. Fear. He was afraid of her. Good, she thought. Now you know how it feels. The evidence was overwhelming. Security footage from the estate, audio recordings from the devices Marcus had planted, medical records from 4 different hospitals, testimony from Charlotte Pruitt, Preston's own assistant, who had witnessed bruises and heard threats. The judge denied bail again, set a trial date, ordered a comprehensive psychological evaluation. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Miss Thornton, how do you feel about facing your abuser? Mrs. Thornton, will you be seeking full custody? Ms. Thornton, what's your message to other women in similar situations? Cassie stopped, looked into the cameras. My message is simple. You're not alone, you're not crazy, and it's never too late to leave. Victor pulled her away before more questions came, but she had said what she needed to say. In the weeks that followed, women reached out, hundreds of them, emails, letters, social media messages. Thank you for telling your story. You gave me courage to leave my abuser. I thought I was alone until I heard about you. Each message was a reminder. Her pain had purpose. Her survival had meaning. The trial began 6 months after her escape. 5 days of testimony, 5 days of reliving the worst moments of her life. Preston's defense was predictable. She was unstable. She was lying. She was after money. The evidence said otherwise. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty, all counts, domestic battery, assault, false imprisonment, financial fraud, tax evasion, sentencing, 15 years federal prison. Cassie sat in the gallery, Rose in her arms. Her daughter would be 16 before her father was free, old enough to understand, old enough to choose whether she wanted him in her life. That was justice enough. After the verdict, Eleanor Whitmore approached. For the first time, she looked old, broken. "You've destroyed this family," she said. Cassie shifted Rose to her other hip. "No, your son did that. You just helped him. You'll regret this when the money runs out. When you're struggling, you'll wish you'd stayed. The only thing I regret is not leaving sooner." Marcus appeared at her side, silent, protective. Eleanor took one look at him and retreated. "You okay?" he asked. "Better than okay?" She looked around the courtroom. At Victor packing his files, at Detective Brennan shaking hands with the prosecutors, at Delia crying happy tears in the gallery. Her team, her family, the people who had believed her when no one else would. 2 weeks later, Graham Whitmore requested a meeting. Cassie almost refused, but Victor suggested hearing him out. "Know your enemies," he said. They met at a neutral location, a law office in the city. Graham looked like a man who had aged 20 years in 6 months. "I made him this way," Graham said. His voice shook. "I was hard on him, harsh. I thought it would make him strong." Cassie said nothing. "My father did the same to me. I told myself I'd be different. I wasn't." He slid an envelope across the table. "This is a trust fund for Rose. My personal money, not Whitmore funds. Nothing to do with Preston or the estate." "I don't want your money." "I know, but Rose didn't choose any of this. She deserves something from this family that isn't poison." Cassie looked at the envelope. $300,000 for her daughter's education. Her future. "I'll think about it." It was not forgiveness, but it was something. 1 year after her escape, the morning light filtered through the cotton curtains of Cassie's apartment. Not silk, not custom-made, just simple white cotton from the clearance section at Target. She had never loved curtains more. Rose sat in her high chair, systematically destroying a banana. The fruit was in her hair, on her cheeks, smeared across the tray. Approximately 3% had made it into her mouth. "You're an artist," Cassie told her daughter. "A banana artist." Rose responded by slapping both palms into the mush. Yellow splattered across Cassie's coffee cup. "And that's my cue to get a new cup." She crossed to the kitchen sink, rinsed the cup, poured fresh coffee from the pot she had programmed to start at 6:30. Such a small thing, programming her own coffee maker, choosing her own wake-up time. Preston had insisted on fresh ground beans, prepared by the housekeeper at exactly 7:15. Not a minute earlier, not a minute later. Coffee was to be served in the breakfast room with the morning papers already sorted by relevance. Now Cassie drank grocery store medium roast from a chipped mug that said "World's Okayest Mom." Delia had given it to her as a joke. It had become her favorite possession. The apartment was small, 900 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen that opened into the living room. The furniture was secondhand. The art on the walls came from Rose's daycare projects. It was perfect. Rose banged her sippy cup against the high chair tray. "Mama, Mama, down." "You want down? You want to spread banana chaos across my entire apartment?" "Down, peas." "Please," she was saying please now. 18 months old and already more polite than Preston had ever been. Cassie lifted her daughter from the high chair, carried her to the bathroom. The morning cleanup ritual began. Warm washcloth, patient wiping, Rose squirming and protesting because being clean was apparently a personal offense. "Hold still. Wiggle worm?" "No." "No is your favorite word, isn't it?" "No," Cassie laughed. Actually laughed. The sound still surprised her sometimes. For 3 years, laughter had been performance, a sound she made because it was expected, empty, hollow. Now it bubbled up without warning, at Rose's antics, at Delia's jokes, at the absurdity of her own life. She had survived, more than survived. She was building something new. The doorbell rang at 8:15. Cassie checked the peephole. Still a habit, probably always would be. Delia stood in the hallway, 2 coffee cups in hand, a bakery bag tucked under her arm. "I know you already have coffee," Delia said when Cassie opened the door. "But I passed that new place on 5th Street, and they had lavender lattes and I couldn't resist. You're enabling my caffeine addiction. That's what best friends do. Delia swept into the apartment, set down the coffees, scooped up Rose. There's my favorite goddaughter. Did you destroy breakfast? Did you make mommy work for her morning? Rose grabbed a fistful of Delia's blonde hair. Dee Dee. That's right. Dee Dee brought you a muffin. Don't tell your mom it has chocolate chips. I can hear you, Cassie said. I know. I wanted you to hear me. Plausible deniability is for cowards. They settled on the couch. Rose on the floor with the muffin that was definitely going to create another cleanup situation. The lavender latte was surprisingly good. So, Delia said, big week. I know. The shelter dedication ceremony was in 4 days. A new wing at the crisis center where Cassie now volunteered twice a week. 12 additional beds, a children's play area, a legal services office. Anonymous donors had funded it, except the donors weren't really anonymous. They were a network of abuse survivors who had rebuilt their lives and wanted to help others do the same. Cassie had connected them through her volunteer work, had helped coordinate the fundraising, had watched the construction progress from foundation to finishing touches. They had asked her to speak at the dedication, to share her story publicly for the first time since the trial. You've been practicing your speech? Every night after Rose goes to sleep, I recorded myself on my phone, listened back, made changes. And, Cassie sipped her latte, and I cry every time I get to the part about Marcus. That's okay. Crying is human. The audience will cry with you. What if I can't finish? What if I freeze up? Delia reached over, squeezed her hand. Then you take a breath. You look at me in the front row. You remember that you've already done the hardest thing. You left. You testified. You rebuilt. A speech is nothing compared to that. Rose toddled over, muffin crumbs covering her face. She climbed onto the couch between them, snuggled against Cassie's side. Mama sad? No, baby, Mama's not sad. Mama's just thinking about something important. Important? Yes, important. Rose considered this, then offered Cassie a soggy piece of muffin, the ultimate comfort gesture. Thank you, sweetheart. That's very generous. The morning passed in comfortable routine. Delia helped with laundry while Cassie prepped meals for the week. Rose napped, the appartement filled with the smell of the chicken soup simmering on the stove. Domestic, ordinary, sacred. I got a letter from Eleanor yesterday, Cassie said while folding onesies. Delia looked up from matching socks. What did the dragon lady want? Grandparent visitation rights, again. Her lawyer is claiming psychological harm from being denied access to her only grandchild. Her only grandchild whose mother she helped abuse? The letter doesn't mention that part. Delia made a disgusted sound. What did Victor say? He's filing a response. We have documented evidence of her complicity. The court already denied her once. He doesn't think this attempt will go anywhere either. But it still bothers you. Cassie folded a tiny pair of pajamas, pink with yellow ducks, Rose's favorite. It's the audacity, after everything. After watching her son beat me for 3 years, after blaming me for his behavior, she thinks she deserves access to my daughter. She thinks she deserves a lot of things, doesn't mean she'll get them. I know, but sometimes I wonder if it will ever stop. The letters, the legal filings, the attempts to control my life from a distance. Delia crossed the room, sat beside her on the bed. It might not stop. The Whitmores don't know how to lose gracefully. But here's what I know for certain. They can't touch you anymore. Preston is in prison. Eleanor has no legal standing. Graham is too broken to fight. Graham asked to see Rose again. What did you say? I haven't decided yet. This was the question that kept her up at night. Graham Whitmore, the retired judge, the patriarch, the man who had created Preston through decades of harsh expectations and emotional cruelty. He had written 3 letters in the past year, each one apologetic, each one acknowledging his role in the cycle of abuse, each one asking for a chance to know his granddaughter. He's different now, Cassie said slowly, or he claims to be. The therapist he's seeing, the work he's doing with the domestic violence awareness organizations, It seems genuine. Seems and is are different things. I know, but Rose didn't choose any of this. She didn't choose her father. She didn't choose to be born into that family. If there's someone on the Whitmore side who could be healthy for her, don't I owe it to her to explore that? Delia was quiet for a long moment. You don't owe anyone anything, Cass. Not Graham, not Eleanor, not the Whitmore legacy. Your only obligation is to yourself and Rose. But what about forgiveness? What about breaking cycles? Forgiveness doesn't mean access. You can forgive Graham for what he did, what he created, without ever letting him near your daughter. Those are separate decisions. Rose stirred in the next room. Her post-nap babbling filtered through the baby monitor. She's up, Cassie said. I should get her. Think about what I said. Whatever you decide about Graham, make sure it's what you want, not what anyone pressures you into. Cassie nodded, went to retrieve her daughter, found Rose standing in her crib, arms raised, smile wide. Mama, up. Up you go, sweet girl. She lifted Rose, held her close, breathed in the baby shampoo smell of her hair. This was what mattered. This small person, this love that asked nothing except presence and care. Whatever she decided about Graham, about Eleanor, about the entire Whitmore legacy, she would decide based on what was best for Rose. Not what was expected, not what was demanded. What was best? That was her power now. The power to choose. The days before the dedication ceremony passed quickly. Cassie finalized her speech. Rehearsed until the words felt natural. Tried on 3 different outfits before settling on a simple navy dress that made her feel strong. Marcus called the night before. Video chat from somewhere he couldn't name. You ready, little sister? As ready as I'll ever be. You're going to be amazing. You know that, right? I know you think I will be. I know you will be. I've watched you survive things that would break most people. A speech is nothing. Rose climbed onto Cassie's lap, grabbed for the phone. Unca Mark! Unca Mark! Hey, Rosie girl. You being good for Mama? Good. I good. That's my girl. Marcus's voice softened. Cass, I wish I could be there tomorrow. I know, but you're where you need to be. Doesn't make it easier, missing the big moments. You were there for the biggest moment. You got me out. Everything since then is bonus, he smiled. That familiar smile that reminded her of their father. I love you, Cass. Knock them dead tomorrow. I love you too. Stay safe. After the call, Cassie put Rose to bed, sang the lullaby, watched those tiny eyes flutter closed. Then she sat in the living room, speech notes in her lap, the apartment quiet around her. Tomorrow she would stand in front of 200 people, reporters, survivors, advocates. She would tell her story, publicly, permanently, no more hiding, no more shame. The fear was there, it would always be there, but underneath it, something stronger. Pride. In herself, in her survival, in the woman she was becoming. The dedication ceremony was held in the courtyard of the Crisis Center. White chairs arranged in neat rows, a podium decorated with flowers, the new wing gleaming behind it. Cassie arrived early, checked the sound system, reviewed her notes one more time. Delia appeared at her elbow. How are you feeling? Terrified? Nauseated? Possibly both. Good, that means you care. The seats filled, familiar faces and strangers. Victor Sullivan in a gray suit, Detective Roy Brennan with his wife, Nurse Jolene Crawford, who had documented Cassie's injuries that first night, Charlotte Pruitt, Preston's former assistant, who had become an unexpected ally. And in the front row, Rose, in Delia's lap, wearing a yellow dress with flowers, completely unaware of the significance of this day. The director of the Crisis Center spoke first, thanked the donors, outlined the services the new wing would provide, cut the ribbon with oversized scissors. Then she turned to Cassie. And now I'd like to introduce someone who has become an inspiration to our entire community, a survivor, an advocate, a mother. Please welcome Cassandra Thornton. Applause. Cassie walked to the podium, gripped the edges, looked out at the crowd. Thank you all for being here today. Her voice was steady, stronger than she expected. A year ago, I was living in a 20,000 square foot mansion. I had designer clothes, expensive jewelry, A husband whose name opened every door in this city. She paused. I was also being beaten, controlled, isolated from everyone who might help me, told that I was worthless, that I deserved what was happening, that no one would ever believe me. The audience was silent, rapt. I believed those lies for 3 years. 3 years of broken bones explained as accidents. 3 years of bruises hidden under makeup. 3 years of smiling at parties while calculating how quickly I could get to the nearest exit. She looked at Rose. Her daughter was playing with Delia's necklace. Oblivious, innocent. What changed? Someone saw me, really saw me, not the performance I had perfected, not the mask I wore every day, the terrified woman underneath. Her voice cracked slightly. She took a breath. My brother Marcus risked his career, his safety, everything to rescue me. He embedded himself as a security guard in my husband's household. For 3 weeks, he watched, documented, planned. When I was finally ready to leave, he was there. Tears now, she let them fall. My best friend Delia never stopped reaching out, even when I pushed her away. Even when I returned her calls with silence. She kept trying. She's the one who contacted Marcus. She's the reason I'm standing here today. She found Delia's eyes, saw matching tears streaming down her cheeks. A nurse named Jolene documented my injuries when she could have looked the other way. A lawyer named Victor walked away from a powerful firm to pursue justice. A detective named Roy drove from 2 counties away to take my statement because the local police were compromised. Each name, each acknowledgement, each debt of gratitude. I'm not telling you this so you'll admire me. I'm not telling you this because I think I'm special. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand something crucial. She gripped the podium harder. I couldn't have done it alone. No one can. Abuse thrives in isolation. It grows stronger when we're cut off from the people who love us. The first thing my abuser did was separate me from my support system. The last thing he expected was for that system to fight back. A murmur through the crowd, heads nodding. This new wing exists because of community, because survivors reached back to help other survivors, because people who had rebuilt their lives wanted to make that rebuilding easier for others. She gestured to the building behind her. 12 more beds, a children's play area where kids can be kids while their mothers figure out next steps. A legal services office so women don't have to navigate the court system alone. Her voice strengthened. But buildings are just buildings. What matters is what happens inside them. The conversations, the support, the moment when a woman realizes she's not crazy, she's not stupid, she's not trapped. She looked directly at the cameras. If you're watching this and you're still in it, still living that nightmare, I need you to hear something. The hardest part isn't leaving. The hardest part is admitting you deserve to leave. The words hung in the air. You do. Deserve to leave, deserve to live, deserve to be more than someone's punching bag, more than someone's possession. She stepped back from the podium. Thank you. Silence. 1 beat, 2, then applause, standing ovation. The sound washing over her like waves. Rose clapped too, not understanding why, just joining in because everyone else was. Cassie stepped down from the platform. Delia met her halfway, embraced her fiercely. You did it. You were incredible. I can't feel my legs. That's normal. Here, sit down. They found chairs. Rose transferred to Cassie's lap. The crowd began mingling. People approached, shook her hand, shared their own stories. A woman in her 60s left her husband after 42 years. A young mother, still in the shelter, still figuring out next steps. A teenage girl, daughter of an abuser, trying to understand her family history. Each story, each connection, each reminder that she was not alone, had never been alone, even when she felt most isolated. The reception lasted 2 hours. By the end, Cassie was exhausted, emotionally wrung out, but also filled with something she couldn't quite name. Purpose, that was it, purpose. Her pain had meaning now. Her story could help others. The worst chapter of her life could become a tool for change. That night, after Rose was in bed, Cassie sat on her small balcony. The city lights spread out below, so different from the manicured grounds of the Whitmore estate. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She tensed. Old habits. Then read the message. Ms. Thornton, my name is Sarah Chen. I'm a journalist who covered your husband's trial. I watched your speech today and was deeply moved. I'm working on a book about domestic violence in wealthy families, the hidden epidemic no one talks about. Would you be willing to be interviewed? Your story could help so many women who think their circumstances make them immune to abuse. No pressure, just wanted to reach out. Sarah Chen, the reporter who had asked about domestic issues at the charity luncheon, the one whose questions had inadvertently triggered Cassie's escape. She stared at the message for a long time. A book, her story in print, permanent, public, available to anyone who needed it, terrifying, and necessary. She typed back, I'd be interested in discussing it. Can we meet for coffee next week? The response came immediately. I would be honored, thank you. Cassie set down her phone, looked at the stars visible through the city light pollution. She was no longer running, no longer hiding, no longer just surviving. She was building, creating, contributing. The woman who had fled the Whitmore estate a year ago was gone. In her place, someone new, someone stronger, someone with a purpose. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Graham's visit request to consider, Eleanor's legal games to navigate, Rose's endless energy to keep up with. But tomorrow would also bring new possibilities. The book interview, more volunteer work, more connections with survivors who needed to know they weren't alone. Life spreading out before her. Uncertain, unpredictable, beautiful. She went inside, checked on Rose one more time, watched her daughter sleep. I'm going to make you proud, she whispered. I'm going to build a world where you never have to be afraid. Rose stirred, smiled in her sleep, dreaming of things Cassie would never know. But happy, safe, loved, that was enough. That was everything, 2 years after her escape. The classroom smelled like crayons and graham crackers. 22 kindergartners sat on the rainbow carpet, eyes fixed on Cassie as she held up a picture book. And then what happened to the caterpillar, she asked. 22 hands shot up. 22 voices competed to answer. It turned into a butterfly. It got wings. It flew away. Cassie smiled. That's right. The caterpillar changed. It became something new, something beautiful. Teacher Cassie? A small voice from the back. Emma, with her pigtails and missing front teeth. Do people change too? Like caterpillars? The question hit deeper than a 5-year-old could know. Yes, Emma, people change too. Sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes it's hard. But everyone has the ability to become something new. Even grown-ups? Especially grown-ups. The bell rang. Organized chaos erupted as children gathered backpacks and lunchboxes. Parents appeared at the door. The end-of-day handoff began. See you tomorrow, friends. Remember, we're planting seeds in the garden tomorrow, so wear clothes that can get dirty. Cheers, hugs, sticky-fingered waves. When the last child was collected, Cassie sank into her desk chair, exhaustion and satisfaction in equal measure. Teaching again, she had wondered if she could, after everything, after the 3 years of isolation when Preston had made her quit, after the trial when her face was everywhere, after the book when her story became public property. But the principal of Meadowbrook Elementary had called her personally, had read the book, had daughters of her own, had created a position specifically for Cassie. These kids need teachers who understand that everyone deserves a second chance, Principal Martinez had said. Will you help them understand that? 2 years later, Cassie couldn't imagine being anywhere else. Her phone buzzed, a text from the daycare. Rose is asking when Mama's coming. She says she needs to show you something very important. Cassie smiled. Typed back, on my way. Tell her Mama can't wait to see the very important thing. She gathered her bag, locked the classroom, walked through the empty hallways decorated with student artwork. Caterpillars and butterflies everywhere, inspired by this week's lesson. Transformation, rebirth, becoming. Her therapist would call that meaningful coincidence. Cassie just called it life. The daycare was 3 blocks from the school, a deliberate choice, close enough to walk, close enough to reach in an emergency. The paranoia hadn't fully faded. Maybe it never would, but she was learning to live alongside it, to acknowledge the fear without letting it control her. Rose spotted her through the window, pressed her face against the glass, waved frantically. Mama, Mama, look what I made. Inside, Rose thrust a paper plate toward her. Glitter and pasta glued in abstract patterns. It's beautiful, sweetheart. What is it? It's you, Mama. See? That's your hair. She pointed to the orange pasta. And that's your smile. Red glitter in a curved line. Cassie's throat tightened. It's the most beautiful me I've ever seen. I'm going to put it on the refrigerator, right in the middle. That's exactly where it belongs. They walked home together. Rose's hand in hers, the September afternoon warm and golden, trees just starting to turn. Rose chattered about her day, about Tyler who put a crayon up his nose, about the new girl Madison who didn't have any friends yet, about the goldfish in the classroom tank who might be pregnant. Mrs. Patterson says we might get baby fishies. Mama, how do fishies have babies? That's a great question. We can look it up when we get home. I hope there's 1,000,000 babies. I want to name them all. 1,000,000 might be a lot of names to remember. I'll make a list. The apartment building came into view. 3 stories, red brick, window boxes with flowers that the residents took turns watering. Home, still small, still secondhand furniture, but now covered in Rose's artwork, filled with Rose's toys, smelling like whatever Cassie had put in the slow cooker that morning. A life, a real life, built from scratch. Inside, they followed their afternoon routine. Snack, homework check, which for Rose meant showing Cassie the pictures she'd drawn. A little TV time while Cassie started dinner. The chicken was nearly done when the doorbell rang. Rose jumped up. I'll get it. No, baby, we talked about this. Mama checks first. The peephole showed Delia and someone else, a man Cassie didn't immediately recognize. She opened the door. Surprise! Delia held up a bottle of wine. I brought reinforcements. And also David, who happened to be at the wine store at the same time as me in what I'm sure was a total coincidence. David, the man from the park, 6 months ago. He'd asked her for coffee. She'd said she wasn't ready. He'd respected that, hadn't pushed. But they kept running into each other, at the park, at the school where his daughter Lily was in first grade, at the grocery store where they both apparently shopped on Sunday mornings. Coincidence, or something else. Hi, Cassie. He held up a paper bag. I brought coloring books, for Rose. And Lily, if that's okay. She's in the car with my mom. Rose appeared at Cassie's side. Lily? Lily's here? Can she come play, Mama? Please, 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 please? Delia grinned, and I think that's a yes. The evening unfolded in a way Cassie hadn't planned, hadn't expected. David's mother joined them, a warm woman named Barbara, who immediately bonded with Rose over a shared love of princess stories. Lily and Rose disappeared into Rose's room, emerging periodically for snacks and to show off their coloring progress. David helped Cassie in the kitchen, chopping vegetables, setting the table, moving around each other with surprising ease. Your apartment is nice, he said. Cozy. It's small. Cozy. There's a difference. She handed him plates to distribute. I didn't realize you and Delia had become friends. We ran into each other a few times. She's very protective of you. She's my person. I know. She made that clear, along with several detailed threats about what would happen if I ever hurt you. Cassie almost dropped the salad bowl. She didn't. She did. Very creative threats, too. Something involving a staple gun. I'm going to kill her. Don't. I appreciated it, actually. It's good that you have people looking out for you. He said it simply, without agenda, without the possessiveness that would have colored such words from Preston. I didn't always have that, Cassie said quietly. For a long time, I didn't have anyone. I read your book. She looked up, met his eyes. I hope that's okay, he continued. I wanted to understand what you went through, what shaped who you are now. And I think you're the bravest person I've ever met. No one had ever called her brave before. Survivor, yes. Victim, unfortunately. Strong sometimes, but never brave. I don't feel brave. I feel like I'm just putting one foot in front of the other. That's what bravery is. Keeping going when everything in you wants to stop. Delia appeared in the kitchen doorway, took in the scene, but grinned. Dinner ready? The tiny humans are getting restless. The meal was loud and chaotic. Rose and Lily dominated the conversation with stories about their respective days. Barbara shared embarrassing stories about David's childhood. Delia orchestrated everything with the skill of a master conductor. Cassie watched it all. This warmth, this connection, this sense of belonging. She had forgotten what it felt like to be surrounded by people who wanted nothing from her except her company, who didn't analyze her every word, who didn't punish her for imperfection. After dinner, David helped with dishes while Barbara read stories to the girls in the living room. Delia had conveniently disappeared to check something in her car. She's not subtle, David said, passing Cassie a rinsed plate. Not even a little bit. Do you mind? Cassie considered the question. Really considered it. No, I don't mind. He smiled, that easy smile she had noticed at the park. No agenda behind it, no calculation. I know you said you weren't ready for coffee 6 months ago. I'm not trying to push. But I want you to know that whenever you are ready, if you ever are, I'll still be here. Why? The question came out before she could stop it. Too blunt, too raw. But David just nodded, as if he'd expected it. Because you're remarkable. Because you've built this beautiful life out of ashes. Because when I see you with Rose, I see the kind of mother I want for Lily to have as a role model. He dried his hands on a towel. And because I like talking to you, you're honest, direct. You don't play games. After my divorce, I thought I'd never trust anyone again. But something about you makes me think maybe trust is still possible. Cassie's heart pounded. Fear and hope in equal measure. I'm not fully healed, she said. I still have nightmares. I still check doors 3 times. I still panic when someone raises their voice. I know. I might never be fully healed. That's okay. None of us are. We're all just managing our damage as best we can. From the living room, Rose's laughter rang out. Bright, innocent, unafraid. Can I think about it? Cassie asked. The coffee? Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. He meant it, she could tell. Not the way Preston had meant things, with conditions and expectations lurking beneath. David meant it simply, honestly. Maybe that was what trust looked like, when it was real. The evening ended with hugs and promises to do it again soon. Rose fell asleep in Cassie's arms while saying goodbye to Lily. David carried his own sleeping daughter to the car. At the door, he paused. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for coming, and for the coloring books. Rose is going to be occupied for weeks. That was the plan, he smiled. Good night, Cassie. Good night, David. She watched him walk to his car, watched him secure Lily in her car seat, watched him drive away. Then she carried Rose to bed, changed her into pajamas without waking her, tucked her in with the stuffed elephant Marcus had sent from his last deployment. Sweet dreams, baby girl. Delia was waiting in the living room when Cassie emerged. So nothing happened. But something could happen, if you wanted it to. Cassie sat on the couch, pulled her knees to her chest. He seems good. He is good. I did a full background check, military service, clean record. His ex-wife left him for someone else, not the other way around. No red flags. You did a background check? Of course I did. I'm not letting anyone near you without vetting them first. Cassie should have been annoyed, but she was just grateful. What do you think I should do? I think you should do whatever feels right, not what anyone else wants, what you want. What if I don't know what I want? Delia moved closer, took Cassie's hand. Then you take your time figuring it out. There's no deadline, no pressure. You've spent so long living according to someone else's schedule. Now you get to set your own. Tears pricked Cassie's eyes. 2 years of freedom, and she still cried at unexpected kindnesses. What if I mess it up? What if I trust the wrong person again? Then you'll deal with it. You'll survive. You've survived worse, and I'll be right here, with my staple gun, ready to defend your honor. A laugh bubbled up, wet and wobbly, but real. I love you, Delia. I love you too. Now go to sleep. Tomorrow's a school day. After Delia left, Cassie walked through the apartment, checking locks, a habit, a necessity, part of who she was now. She paused at Rose's door, watched her daughter sleep, peaceful, safe. This was what she had fought for, this quiet moment, this ordinary life. She went to her own room, changed into pajamas, climbed into bed. Her phone showed a text from Marcus. Thinking of you, saw some photos from the shelter dedication online. You looked amazing, proud of you, little sister. She typed back, missing you, come home soon. His response, working on it, kiss Rosie for me. She would, tomorrow morning, every morning. Sleep came slowly, but not because of fear, because of possibility. David, the book interview with Sarah Chen, the shelter expansion she was helping plan, the kindergartners who needed her patience and encouragement, a future, spreading out before her, full of uncertainty, full of potential. 2 years ago, she had fled a mansion with nothing but her daughter in her arms. Now she had a home, a career, friends who would fight for her, maybe someday love again. The woman in the mirror was someone she recognized, someone she liked, someone she was proud of. Not because of what had happened to her, but because of what she had done with it. The last thought before sleep, I am not who I was. I am not who he tried to make me. I am who I choose to be. And tomorrow she would choose again. 3 months later, the coffee shop was warm against the December cold. Holiday music played softly. Garlands hung from the ceiling. Cassie wrapped her hands around her mug. Across the table, David did the same. So, he said, this is coffee. This is coffee. 3 months of building, of trust, of slow, careful steps towards something new. They had taken Rose and Lily to the zoo, to the park, to a puppet show that had made both girls scream with delight and both parents wince at the volume. They had talked about everything, about nothing, about the ordinary stuff of daily life. And tonight, for the first time, they were alone. Just the two of them, on what might officially be called a date. You're nervous, David observed. A little? Me too. Really? Really. I keep worrying I'll say the wrong thing, that I'll somehow mess this up. Cassie smiled. I've had the same worry every day for the last 3 months. And yet here we are. Here we are. He reached across the table. His hand hovered near hers, asking permission. She took his hand, felt the warmth of his fingers, the gentle pressure of connection. I want to tell you something, he said. And I want you to know it comes with no expectations, no pressure. Okay, I'm falling in love with you. The words hung in the air, simple, true. You don't have to say it back, he continued. I know you might not be there yet, but I needed you to know I've been holding it in for weeks and it was starting to affect my blood pressure. A laugh escaped her, surprised, delighted. I'm scared, she admitted. I know. The last time I fell in love, it nearly destroyed me. I know that too. But, she took a breath, I'm starting to think that being scared isn't a reason to stop. It's just information, something to be aware of while I keep moving forward. David squeezed her hand. That sounds like something a very wise person would say. My therapist. She's worth every penny. Remind me to send her a thank you card. They sat together, hands intertwined, the coffee growing cold. I'm not ready to say it back, Cassie said finally. The words, but I'm ready to be here, with you, figuring out what this could be. That's enough. That's more than enough. And I want you to meet Marcus. When he's back from deployment, he's going to interrogate you worse than Delia did. David laughed. I've been warned. Barbara bought me a book on surviving Navy SEAL intimidation tactics. There's a book? Probably not, but it's a good story. She laughed, really laughed. The sound filled the coffee shop. A few other patrons glanced over, smiled at the obvious happiness radiating from their corner booth. This was new. This was terrifying. This was wonderful. Outside, snow began to fall, fat flakes drifting past the window. The first snow of the season. Rose is going to lose her mind tomorrow, Cassie said. She's been asking about snow for weeks. Lily, too. We should take them to the park, build snowmen. A snow date. A family snow date. He paused, caught himself. Sorry. Too much? No, Cassie smiled. Not too much, just right. They finished their coffee, left the shop, walked through the falling snow. At her car, David paused. Can I? He asked, gesturing vaguely. Can you what? Kiss you. I've been wanting to ask all night, but I kept chickening out. Her heart pounded. Fear and anticipation braided together. Yes. He stepped closer, slowly, giving her time to change her mind. His hand cupped her cheek, gentle, so gentle. The kiss was soft, brief, perfect. When he pulled back, his eyes searched hers. Okay? Or then okay. He smiled, that easy smile she had come to love. Good night, Cassie. Good night, David. She drove home through the snow, singing along to the radio, her cheeks aching from smiling. At the apartment, she relieved the babysitter, checked on Rose, found her sleeping peacefully, unaware that the world had changed while she dreamed. Cassie stood at her daughter's door, watching, remembering. 3 years of darkness, 2 years of rebuilding, and now, finally, light. She had not planned this life, had not imagined it, had not believed it possible. But here it was, imperfect, uncertain, beautiful. She went to bed, slept dreamlessly, woke to Rose jumping on her mattress. Mama, Mama, snow, there's snow. I see, baby, I see. They stood at the window together, watching the white world outside. Rose pressed against the glass, leaving tiny handprints. Can we build a snowman? Can we? Can we? We can. We're going to meet some friends at the park. What friends? David and Lily. Remember them? Rose's face lit up. Lily, I love Lily. She's my best friend. I thought Emma was your best friend. I have lots of best friends, Mama. There's room for everyone. Cassie hugged her daughter, tight, grateful. You're right, sweetheart. There's room for everyone. There was, in her life, in her heart, room for all of it. The fear and the hope, the past and the future. The pain she had survived and the joy she was building. Room for everything she had been and everything she was becoming. The snow kept falling, Rose kept laughing, and somewhere in the city, a man who was falling in love with her was probably teaching his daughter to make snow angels. This was her life now. Not perfect, not certain, not guaranteed, but hers. Fully, completely, finally. And that was everything. And so Cassie's story ends, not with revenge, but with something far more powerful. Freedom. A daughter who will never know fear. A future built from ashes. And the knowledge that surviving is just the beginning. If this story touched your heart, if you found yourself holding your breath, cheering for Cassie, crying with her, I need to ask you something. Think about the women in your life. Your mother, your sister, your daughter, your friend. 1 in 4 women experiences domestic violence. That means someone you love might be living their own version of this nightmare right now. Sharing this story could reach them, could show them they're not alone, could be the voice that says what they need to hear. You deserve to leave. You deserve to live. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Leave a comment telling me what part moved you most. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Every like helps this story reach another woman who might be trapped. Every share could be the lifeline someone is desperately searching for. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being part of this community. Until next time, remember, you are stronger than you know, you are braver than you believe, and you are never, ever alone.